everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Izzy and today I have my December wrap up for you guys. For the month of December, I read a total of 8 books and here I am. I'm going to talk about all 8 of the books that I read for the month of December. So the first book that I read in the month of December was True Biz, a novel by Sarah Novick or Sarah Novich. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her last name. So this book I read from December 1st to December 6th and I gave this book a total of 3.5 stars. This book is based in a school for the deaf, so there is a lot of sign language in this book. We follow students who are raised basically misunderstood and from different dynamics. Some students were raised with deaf families and some were raised as the only deaf person in the family. So some of these students are very well advanced in the language of American Sign Language while others are not. And so those students that are not, they're basically misunderstood. They feel like they don't quite fit in with their friends. And then there are these other students who are basically prodigies. They are from deaf families. So there are generations of deaf people in their families. Now, I don't quite remember the characters, if I'm being honest. The characters were not quite memorable, but we do follow a couple of students who they basically find themselves in this school and they're more understood, they fit in, and then the school goes to the brink of closing down. So when these students find out that their school will be closing for the following year, they do what is possible in order to keep the school open. Now, the reason why I gave this book a 3.5 stars, this book was great. What I loved about this book is that there was even sign language throughout the book. For example, here we have a few signs and there was a lot of explanation about sign language throughout the book, and I did really like how sign language is basically written in the book. You kind of see the conversation that is being signed in italics and it is easily recognized throughout the book when people are signing and when they are not. And what I found interesting is that even in the audiobook you could hear the author signing what is being signed as the audiobook is being read. Very interesting concept. I was sure I was going to love this book, but the ending didn't do it for me. So still a great book. I didn't quite love it because of the ending. I felt like it needed more. I feel like there was maybe 40 pages left and we still didn't have quite a conclusion yet. And I was wondering how they were going to conclude this book with those 40 pages left. Let me tell you, it was not a good conclusion. I felt like it was rushed, but overall, I think I still enjoyed it. It was just missing a little bit more. I wanted a better ending. Nevertheless, I do still recommend it because of how it's written and it does raise a lot of awareness with deafness, and I feel like that made this book quite important to read. Yeah, that was True Biz. That's the first book that I read in the month of December. So the second book that I read was If We Were Villains by ML Rio, and I read this book from November 28th to December 12th. I read this on audiobook and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. So we follow a group of friends who are in a drama school. They are 4th years, so they are basically the top students. They are seniority, and we kind of follow the story in the present and in the past. In the present, we have the main character who has been incarcerated for 10 years, and then we see the past, what happened, why this person is being incarcerated. Within the students, I believe there are a total of 7 students, and one of them is found dead. So they basically hide this secret within themselves. They don't know who the murderer was, so we do find out. But this book, again, it jumps back and forth from present to past. This book was a great read. It has that dark academia aesthetic and I really liked how it was within the arts. These students are drama students, and so that kind of makes it more of a risk because the students know how to act and they know how to play along as well. So it was very interesting to see. Although I feel like if I were more familiar with Shakespeare and with drama and with plays themselves, I feel like I would have enjoyed this book more. So basically, I found myself listening these plays and listening to these students reenact these plays, and I was just kind of lost. There was even some parts where it explained why the 7 friends were better made for a certain character of a play. And again, because I don't know the plays, I didn't recognize any of the characters. I was kind of lost. I don't think I quite enjoyed it as much as I should have, but still a great read, and I did end up giving this book 4 stars. The next book that I read for the month of December was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I read this from December the 5th to December the 14th, and I ended up giving this book a 5 stars. Wow, so this book actually made it to my top 10 favorites of 2022. review, and that video is up on my channel already. You can go ahead and watch that if you haven't yet. Again, this book was a great read. It had a great plot twist. We follow two characters, Adam and Amelia, who win a trip, and they're basically trying to reconciliate. Their marriage is breaking down, and so they go on this trip in hopes of rekindling that relationship. Basically, this trip is going to make or break their marriage. So they go on this trip to an abandoned church, now made into a cabin. The setting of this book is very isolated. There is snowstorms, so they're full of snow. It is very cold. So these two people have very dark secrets hidden from the other, and we basically just follow them as they try to rekindle this relationship. There is some mystery and some thriller in the book as well. Very interesting. Like I said, the plot twist kind of makes you reread the book in a different light, which I really enjoyed. Again, I have never read quite an ending like this one, so if you're looking for a great plot twist, I would highly recommend you to pick this up. Again, I gave this book a 5 stars. The next book that I read is If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang, and I read this book from December 7th to December 17th, and I ended up giving this book a 3 stars. So whenever I saw the cover of this book, I got the wrong idea. I thought this book was going to be more of a fiction literature, so it wasn't quite what I was expecting, which kind of influenced my rating, sad to say. We follow Alice, who basically strives for perfection. She attends an elite international boarding school in Beijing, China, and basically she competes for the #1 spot. She studies and she works hard for that spot, and yes, she does have competition. She basically finds her competition very annoying because he barely ever tries, but he is up there with Alice, while Alice basically struggles and gives it her all to be in the #1 spot. And Alice finds out that she can turn invisible. So whenever she finds out that her parents do not have the money for her tuition in the following year, she basically finds a way to monetize her recently given ability. So she turns invisible and quickly finds herself doing non-ethical things. So she is kind of in between, you know, wanting to keep attending the school, wanting to finish strong, but not having the money for it. So because it is a boarding school, she is surrounded with rich kids, basically are willing to give a lot of money in order for her to do these things. So we kind of find her criminally breaking the law and seeing how far will she go. So again, I gave this book 3 stars because I didn't quite love it, but it was still a great read. Next up, I picked up So That Happened by Katie Bailey. I read this book from December 14th to December 19th and ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. So we follow Annie, who is kind of a quirky character. She basically speaks her mind without thinking. She is known to blurt out whatever is on her mind. So then she meets Liam, who basically is forced to spend the night with this man due to delayed flights and all of that jazz. She finds herself forced proximity with this guy named Liam. He's very handsome, but he's quite quiet. In a way, he kind of finds her annoying because, again, she is very quirky, she's very outgoing, and they spend the night together. They wake up cuddling, and basically Annie is ready to move on from that very embarrassing night. She starts a job and finds out that Liam is actually her boss. So we follow Annie and Liam. What I really liked about this book is that it is very clean. It has a very clean romance. It does not have any smut. So if you like smut, I don't think you would like this. It is a slow burn and I really enjoyed this book. So if you want to read about a clean, very romantic romance, then I would highly recommend you pick this up. Next up, I read Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. I read this from December 16th to December 20th, and I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. I don't want to say much about this book because I do have this in a vlog. I will link that down below if you're interested in watching, but I didn't really enjoy this book, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. Basically, we follow Rachel. She calorie restricts herself. She counts calories. She has an eating disorder. She's also detoxing from her mother, so she cancels all communication with her mother. And then she meets Miriam, who is an Orthodox Jew who works at her favorite froyo place, and it goes from there. I have come to the conclusion that I did not like this book because I did not like the main character. So the content of the book wasn't bad. I did not like that there's a bit of fat shaming in this book, and I think I said it in my vlog. I said that the fat shaming is kind of disguised as Rachel's sexual desires, and I found that very uncomfortable in a way. This book is full of fantasies and fantasizing in terms of her cravings with food and sex. So again, the content of the book isn't that bad, but the character, man, like I just don't like her at all. Like, she has no respect for others. She doesn't have any respect for herself. And I think she was really the reason why this book was a 2.5 for me. Now, this book was close to just being like a 1.5, but I gave it a generous 2.5 because the chapters are very, very short. They're like 1 to 3 pages, and so that helped me push through to finish this book. I guess also the floppiness of this. I'm just kidding. So yeah, a very generous 2.5 stars. I don't recommend this to anyone. Do I regret reading it? No. But could I have gone and continued life without reading this? Yes. Then I also picked up Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I read this. I started this on December 19th, and I don't really know when I finished it. I believe it was December 21st, and I ended up giving this book a 4 stars. This book is highly, highly overrated, so I was kind of skeptical about picking this up, but I did anyways, and I read this on audiobook. So we follow Nora and her sister Libby as they go on this vacation. They go to Sunshine Falls in North Carolina. So Nora is a literary agent, so she kind of helps people with the process of publishing their books, and she kind of has this like enemy relationship with Charlie. Charlie is an editor back in New York City where she lives, and while she is on this vacation in this small town, she basically finds herself bumping into Charlie quite a lot. We follow Charlie and Nora as they kind of discover their relationship. They discover that they like each other. Now, this book, while I was reading it, it was like around a 3 star. I wasn't quite loving it, but not hating it either. It was just kind of like a generic read for me, but the ending was really cute, so that bumped it up to a 4 stars. I do wish I knew more about Nora and Charlie. I do want to read more about them. I want to know more about them loving each other, but overall I did enjoy the relationship. Maybe I'll pick up some more Emily Henry as well after this one. And lastly but not least, I picked up Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. So I did film a little TBR gambling vlog where I roll a die and it basically chooses my next read. So after devastatingly reading this book, I was like, I can't leave it at this. I need to re-roll this die and see what I need to pick up next, and that was this book here. I ended up reading this from December 22nd to December 26th, and I ended up giving this book a 5 stars. So we follow Mallory, who is a recovering drug addict, and she is out looking for a job, so she interviews with Ted and Caroline Maxwell. She is interviewing for a job taking care of the little son, Teddy, during the summer while he is waiting to start kindergarten. So this little boy is around 4 years old. So we follow Mallory, who is taking care of this kid, but this kid starts to kind of draw very disturbing pictures and raises many red flags. This book was very good. I really enjoyed this book, and very great quality too. I got this book for $5 at Book Outlet, and the quality of this book is amazing. Now, I don't hand out 5 stars just like that, and the reason why I did give this 5 stars is because throughout the book you have illustrations, and so it made the book very interactive. Now, if you don't want to see, basically don't look. For example, here are a couple pictures that this little kid drew, and they're all throughout the book. So that is why I loved this book. Again, I gave this a 5 stars because of that. It was also blurbed by Stephen King. So yes, I really loved this book. It was, I think, a good book to finish off the month of December. This is a ghost story, so if you're looking for something creepy, ghost, paranormal, I would suggest you pick this up. Okay, so that is basically all for the month of December. That is my December wrap up. Let me know down below what books you read in the month of December and how many you read in total. If you want to support my channel but don't know what to comment, just comment down below the 3 emojis, the rock, the paper, and the scissors. That would really help me and really support my channel. You can also support me by liking this video, and if you are enjoying the content so far, if you're enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I have more planned and more coming your way. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.